Hey, this is Tommy John, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
You can put it on the board! Yes!
Welcome to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio. Today's show is brought to you by UppercutChops.com. Check out their tasty selection of all-natural, dry-aged USDA prime Wagyu steaks and chops. Wait till you taste their best-in-class New York steaks, the filet mignon, and of course the king of all those cowboy cut and tomahawk cut ribeyes. Best in the business I've ever had, probably the best you've ever had as well. Check them out at UppercutChops.com. That's UppercutChops.com. Or give them a call, find out what's for dinner. 702-799-9935. 702-799-9935. 702-799-9935 for UppercutChops.com. Yes! And a big welcome in to everybody listening in on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates and independents from coast to coast. Everybody else watching on Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, Oceanic, Time Warner, and WOW Cable Select affiliates. Thanks for joining us, as well as on Hotel TV in all Nielsen-rated markets and on Facebook on Chicago Food Favorites. Make sure you check it out. Chicago Food Favorites. Like, follow, participate. It's free and a lot of fun. Got a big show today, and in fact, it's going to cover a little bit of baseball, and I think we're going to start out with, oh, you know what? So it'll be baseball. We're going to do some tough guy conversation here. Maybe mention the Hockey League, of course, the National Hockey League. Those are the toughest guys, in my opinion, of all of them. But then again, let's check out what some of the others have to say as well. And the Olympics with the opening ceremony. I have to tell you, folks, I have been floored with the headlines, with everything that's going on. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but then again, I'm just one person like all of you listening in. So apparently there was a sort of a fiasco at the opening Olympics, and that was last Friday night. And in fact, so badly, I read about this. I did not watch it. It was so bad that it was covered worldwide across all your favorite religions or lack thereof. And it was really bad, really sad. How about this? From the CNA, this is from CatholicNewsAgency.com. Catholics, others respond to mockery, get this, of the Last Supper at the Paris Olympics? What? It was unbelievable. Oh yeah, it happened. It happened. Everybody's reporting on it. So, according to CNA, a drag queen-led parody of the Last Supper featured during Friday's Olympic ceremonies of the 2024 Paris Olympics has sparked a wave of incensed reaction and denunciations. In a statement released, the French Bishops' Conference criticized the, quote, scenes of derision and mockery of Christianity, which we deeply deplore, close quote. Now, this morning, according to CNA, we all think of all Christians on all continents who have been hurt by the outrage and provocation of certain scenes. Quote, we thank the members of other religious denominations who have expressed their solidarity. This morning, we thank all of the Christians on the continents who have been hurt by the outrage and provocation of certain scenes. Yes, close quote. The French bishops actually said that. Absolutely. In fact, one of the best-known prelates of the Catholic Church in the United States, Bishop Robert Barron of Minnesota, called on Catholics to make their voices heard in response to what he called, quote, the gross mockery of the Last Supper, close quote. In a post on X, Barron said the blasphemous act was emblematic of, quote, deeply secularist postmodern society, close quote, that identifies Christianity as its enemy. Meanwhile, in reparation for the blasphemy, Bishop Donald Hying of Madison, Wisconsin, immediately called on all Catholics to, quote, fast and pray, renew our devotion to the Eucharist, Sacred Heart, and to the Virgin Mary, close quote. As a matter of fact, Hying added in a post on X in which he thanked the Lord for the Eucharist, the Last Supper, and his love for us by saying, quote, may Jesus be adored and loved in every tabernacle throughout the world, close quote. Listen, folks, this is not a religious show. This is about the mockery that was displayed at the Paris Olympics and the opening ceremony. This is awful. And let's think about this. You've got a lot of people that are really upset about this, and I mean really upset. It doesn't matter where you're from, what religion, what race, what color, what creed, doesn't matter. I mean, look, this is bothering a lot of people. It really is. As a matter of fact, Bishop Daniel Flores of Brownsville, Texas, was also quick to share his reaction, stating, quote, my vocabulary is not varied enough to find a word for the feeling in the pit of my stomach, close quote, and asserting that people of Christian faith deserve more respect, which is absolutely true. In fact, that's a great way to say it. Now, as a matter of fact, Flores' sentiments were also echoed by non-Christians. Yes. Quote, even as a Jew, I am infuriated by this outrageous insult to Jesus and Christianity, close quote, said Dr. Eli David. He panned the opening ceremonies as reflecting a Europe that is, quote, culturally dying, close quote. The world's richest man, arguably, Elon Musk, also called the spectacle, quote, extremely disrespectful to Christians. Of course, for his part, United States Senator Marco Rubio, a Catholic, responded to what he called the Olympic freak show by quoting Jude 1:18, stating, in the last time there will be scoffers who will live according to, you know the rest, according to their own godless desires, close quote. Look, this is a real problem here, folks. This crossed a line, and we've seen a lot of this in Super Bowl halftime shows, all this innuendo for this group or that group, whether it's these worshipers or that, or those of the alleged Illuminati and this and that. I tell you what, folks, look, most of the people listening to this show today can identify with the outrage over what had happened at the Paris Olympics in the opening. Now, you may remember Michael LaVaughn Robinson. Look, there was a time where the United States was in the running for these Olympic Games. As a matter of fact, you may recall, I seem to recall, and this is my own opinion, I seem to recall that Michael LaVaughn Robinson, in my opinion, was single-handedly charged with delivering a message to get these Olympic Games to the United States. Well, unfortunately, that didn't seem to happen. And it was a tragedy for the United States because we lost, as this country, we lost the world stage. We lost billions of dollars in television revenues, hundreds of millions of dollars in localized revenues from where the Olympic Games would have been held. And it went on and on and on. And unfortunately, those games, the 2024 games, should be played in the United States, not in Paris. No, they're not played in the United States. But I wonder, even if they were played in the U.S., would the same agenda be allowed? I'm going to guess probably so. Because we've seen, again, in Super Bowl halftime shows and this and that, we've seen innuendo of, well, let's put it this way, anti-believers putting their, how do we want to say this? We don't want to irritate everybody now, do we? Putting their symbolism out there. We see it on television all the time, whether it's this talk show or that late night show or in sports or music at concerts. We see all that same anti-symbolism on a regular basis. Now look, there's a separation between church and state. There's a separation between sports and politics. But the line has been blurred between sports and politics to a level where it is remarkably unacceptable to many, many, many Americans across the globe that are living abroad, and also those domestically here. And obviously, it's not just Americans. There are people, as we just read from the CNA article, there are feelings of complete discontent with what's going on with an agenda. And honestly, it's an embarrassment to what's going on, as people will buy the products of the advertisers advertising in the programs that are broadcasting these horrific acts of, well, we'll call it non-believers. So, you make your own decision. Is this something you endorse, or is it something you don't endorse? Back here in a few minutes on the Sports Circus. Lots more to come, folks.
Attention business owners, you and your customers are listening to this right now. Face it, every business needs customers, even yours. The Sports Circus is a primetime nationally syndicated program that's carried on ABC, NBC, CNBC, and Westwood One News affiliates, plus CBS, Fox, and NBC sports affiliates across North America, with coverage from Hawaii to New York. Also, the Sports Circus is available to the 180 million subscribers on iHeartRadio, and the Sports Circus gets about 4 million website visitors per month, which could click through your website and bring sales. The Sports Circus provides great content featuring celebrity guests from sports and entertainment to our audience every weekday, which your company could greatly benefit from by increasing your visibility, foot traffic, eyeballs to your website, and calls from potential customers. Call us right now at 702-799-9935. Again, 702-799-9935. Or email us at info@thesportscircus.com. That's info@thesportscircus.com. Drive your sales today by advertising with the Sports Circus.
Could you use a little extra money right now? If you'd like to borrow up to $100,000 and get pre-approved in minutes, call the number we'll give you at the end of this commercial. Our lending partners have already loaned millions of dollars to individuals just like you, and we're ready to lend you up to $100,000 if you qualify. Even if your credit is not perfect, you could use the money to pay off high-interest credit cards, for home renovations, or consolidate existing debt. You can get flexible, easy-to-pay terms. The consultation to find out if you qualify is free. To find out if you qualify for our special financing program, call this toll-free number 24 hours a day. 800-335-1376. 800-335-1376. 800-335-1376. That's 800-335-1376. Important terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Loan amount, annual percentage rate, and term will vary depending on creditworthiness. Applying does not guarantee approval. Account approval is subject to verification and confirmation of your credit history and acceptance by a lender. If you choose to apply for a loan through us, a consumer report will be obtained to evaluate your creditworthiness in connection with your application for credit.
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UpperCutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes, are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UpperCutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UpperCutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door, without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average at best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at UpperCutChops.com or call 702-799-9935. That's 702-799-9935. 702-799-9935. Or make your selection directly at UpperCutChops.com.
to the Sports Circus. I'm Roy Firestone. Now it's time to throw it back to Sal.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from the AMP TV studio here in Las Vegas. This segment brought to you in part by our friends over at the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. Check them out at csncoyotes.com for upcoming games and events. That's csncoyotes.com for the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. All right, welcome back to everybody listening in on all of our network affiliates, independents as well, including our friends over in Honolulu on CBS Sports 1500 KHKA. That's home of the New York Yankees, the San Francisco 49ers, and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Of course, welcome into our friends up and down the West Coast on all of our independents, all the way through Denver and Phoenix and the greater Chicagoland area, down through Texas, New Orleans. Big hello to our friends just a little bit east of there, WAUD, that's 1230 a.m. over in Auburn, Alabama, War Eagle. And big hello to our friends over in Atlanta, Georgia on WDJY 99.1 FM, plus all of our others from coast to coast. Thanks for joining us on television and radio, and also on Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. Make sure to check that out, folks. It's free, it's fun. So, in the last segment, it was an Olympic debacle. But think about this. When the debacle hits the field or the ice or the hard court, really, who are the toughest athletes? I've had this conversation with many, many people from sports, pick your favorite sports, teams and positions. And how about this one? I guess we really should be asking, are NHL players the toughest athletes? So listen to this. This just happened just a little bit ago. And I've got an audio clip from a game, and I'm going to give courtesy to Major League Baseball.com, MLB.com. And listen to this one, folks. You know, I'm a former pitcher, and I can tell you, when you get hit, it hurts. But when you're a player that's expecting a ball in one location and it goes somewhere else, I mean, getting hit hurts, but when you get hit in a particular place, it really hurts. So let's see if we can get some audio here to this wonderful page. And as we sit and wait for this to reload, I will tell you that it's worth the wait. Because first of all, we think of the pitchers, what they're doing. You think of the catchers, where they line up. But you think of the guy that's getting hit. Who is more likely to absorb something versus somebody else? Would you say that maybe a second baseman is going to be tougher than a third baseman? I don't know, third baseman, that playing the hot corner, that's a pretty tough one. But what about the catcher? I mean, the catchers, listen to this, folks.
Oh, no! Up and in, he got...
The catchers are the real tough guys out there. The catchers are the guys that they get nicked up on a regular basis. You know, maybe a foul tip or something. It hits a spot where it's not protected. Of course, in today's time, many catchers, what don't they do is they don't necessarily protect themselves. No, because they're not in the proper position. But the fact is, the catchers, game in and game out, they get nicked up and beat up seemingly on a regular basis. And these guys just don't catch a break. And I'm telling you, folks, when I say they don't catch a break, I'm not saying it because the idea of... No, I'm just saying, when these guys get hit, they get hit. I mean, it is no picnic. And I can assure you that catchers really, really have a tough go behind the plate. They truly do. And, of course, I tip my hat to them because I know sometimes I would bounce a ball in and it would have a particular spin on it, maybe a backward spin on it or a sideways backward spin, and what would happen? Well, unfortunately, the catcher would get hit. And the catcher would get hit sometimes in places where you're like, wow, how in the world did he even do that? How did he even stay in the game, that is? And he's just kind of dealing with it. It's unbelievable. And so I'm getting to James McCann here. Now, James McCann is a catcher, and this guy is well-traveled. But James McCann, I wouldn't say he's the toughest catcher in Major League Baseball, but I certainly wouldn't say anything negative because this guy knows what the heck he's doing behind the plate. And let's face it, when you get hit, it is no joke. I mean, really. Sometimes you get hit without your padding on. And we see umpires with that problem. And check, listen to this. This is one of those situations where you're like, you hope nothing goes wrong for this guy. Here we go.
Oh, no! Up and in, he got McCann in the helmet. And I'm not sure it got him in the helmet. I think that may have hit James in the face. He is bleeding. He is being looked at by Brian Ebel. There is blood dripping. That was a 95-mile-per-hour fastball. It's the most painful RBI he'll ever have. But James McCann has a New Jersey on. This is absolutely ridiculous. He can't possibly stay in the game, right?
If anybody could, it would be James McCann, because
That's unbelievable. That deserves an enormous round of applause. So that was courtesy of MLB.com. And they say, out of Baltimore, James is a tough baseball player. And of course, he proved that during the first inning of Game 1 of a doubleheader at Camden Yard. Orioles catcher was hit in the face by a 94.6 mile an hour four-seam fastball from Blue Jays starter Uriel Rodriguez, and then McCann stayed in the game. In fact, McCann took the pitch to the nose, and then he immediately dropped to the ground in the batter's box. And this guy's 34, man. He's been around the rodeo for a minute. And he got a lengthy visit from, of course, the head athletic trainer, Brian Ebel, who worked on him to stop the bleeding from his nose. And, of course, it surely seemed like McCann would have had to leave the game, but he relocated to first base following the bases-loaded hit by a pitch that pushed the Orioles' lead to 4-0. However, it then appeared as if McCann may be departing as he exited the field for the dugout. And look, here is something by Tyler Wells of X. Says, I would go to war every single day for James McCann, but after seeing that, I'm convinced that I would absolutely be useless to him. That's the toughest SOB I've ever met, and he just proved it right there. Now, still, according to MLB.com, as it turned out, McCann only left so he could put on a jersey that didn't have blood on it. Then he reemerged to a loud ovation from the crowd, taking his base, continue the rally. And yes, this is what happened. McCann again received cheers prior to the second inning when he took over behind the plate to continue catching right-hander Zach Eflin's Orioles debut. Yes, another trade. And McCann has had some close calls in the past while in the batter's box. Last year, his first season with the Orioles, there were numerous instances which he nearly got hit in the face. But each time, he got some piece on the bat. And of course, it kept it from happening. But this was the second time this month that an Oriole batter got hit in the head at Camden Yards. What the heck is going on over there? Resulting in a scary moment. Obviously, rookie outfielder Kjerstad was drilled during a July 12th game versus the Yankees, which led him to being placed on the 7-day concussion injured list. I mean, look, this is a big deal. When you get popped in the head, let me tell you something, folks. It is not only not pleasant, but it's not pleasant for the pitcher that are doing I wouldn't say inflicting the pain, but sometimes pitches get away. And look, if you're a pitcher and you're trying to hit somebody, you're never trying to hit them in the head. You're always trying to hit them below the shoulder and above the knee, typically. Of course, unless you're me, because I always try to hit people in the foot and the side of the knee, but that was another discussion for another time, if you know what I mean. Anyway, the question is, are NHL players the toughest athletes? Now, hockey writers have written about this. Football writers have written about this. Basketball writers have written about this. Even soccer players have. So here's one that came out recently. And this is an article. Are NHL players the toughest athletes? And this one's by the HockeyWriters.com. So they say, professional athletes train hard. They often endure brutal conditions and workout routines in attempts to fine-tune their bodies for physically demanding sports. They'll put everything on the line to succeed and be their best. But which sport is the most physically demanding? Some rely heavily on optimized cardiovascular system. Others rely on speed, strength, or agility. So who are the toughest athletes in the world? So what they did was they're comparing the toughest athletes. And according to an extensive study done by the Four Letter Network called Sports Skills Difficulty, ice hockey ranks second only behind boxing among the 60 sports measured. 60 sports. I wonder if badminton was one of those sports. I wonder if curling was one of those sports. I don't know. I mean, they're considered sports, right? I wonder if bowling. I like bowling. I wonder if bowling was considered one of those sports. I mean, look, folks, if you could drink a beer and do it, in my opinion, it's a pastime and not a sport. Now, they say football is ranked third, basketball fourth, baseball ninth, and soccer 10th. The least tough athletes competed in bowling, curling, billiards, and understandably ranked dead last is fishing. Oh, come on. Fishing is a little grueling. You can get stung by a fish. You can get bit by a fish. There's all kinds of stuff that can happen. I would certainly rank badminton behind fishing and curling behind fishing. And billiards, by the way. Somehow billiards is a sport, which I'm not really sure that is. Again, you could drink a beer and do it at the same time. We're going to continue on with this when we come back from break. Folks, don't go anywhere. Lots more to come here on the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal of the Sports Circus, a primetime, nationally syndicated television, radio, sports, and entertainment show. The Sports Circus covers topics others are too scared to talk about. There's no other primetime show like it on here that'll punch you in the face and you'll beg for more. Join me, Hall of Famers, world champions, and all-star celebrity guests for chaos and controversy here on Libsyn and all podcast platforms, plus thesportscircus.com. Remember, folks, it's a circus and we prove it every day.
Hello Americans, it's Uncle Sam here. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes to the IRS or state, don't worry. I've got important news that may help you negotiate a lower tax bill. In today's economy, the IRS has released a variety of new rules and is offering more flexible terms to help Americans looking to settle their IRS debt. If you apply today, we may be able to lift your wage garnishments and release a freeze on your bank assets or business. Our team of tax professionals can resolve your case and stop collection actions against you. Even if you've been audited or haven't filed a return in years, they can help. Call right now and find out if you qualify to settle your IRS debt for far less than what you owe. Pick up your phone right now and call us for a free $500 IRS tax review. Don't wait. Here's the number.
Call right now. 800-950-2049. 800-950-2049. 800-950-2049. For the last time, that's 800-950-2049.
The old way of living with diabetes is a pain. You've got to remember to do your testing and always need to stick your fingers to test your blood sugar. The new way to live your life with diabetes is with a continuous glucose monitor. Apply a discrete sensor on your body, and it continuously monitors your glucose levels, helping you spend more time in range and freeing you from painful finger sticks. If you are living with type 1 or type 2 diabetes and you use insulin or have had hypoglycemic events, you might be eligible for a CGM through your insurance benefits. U.S. Med partners with over 500 private insurance companies and Medicare. We offer free shipping, 90-day supplies, and we bill your insurance. Call us today for a free benefits check.
800-659-7805. 800-659-7805. 800-659-7805. That's 800-659-7805.
That's ridiculous.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
Hey everyone, Dave Jackson here, ESPN rules analyst on ESPN Hockey, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio. That's AMP TV, AAMP, for all ages media programming television. This segment brought to you in part by our friends over at Al's #1 Italian Beef at 1079 West Taylor Street in Chicago's Little Italy. That's 1079 West Taylor Street in Chicago's Little Italy. Great Italian beef, hot dogs and Italian sausage and all those good neighborhood foods that we all grew up with back in that area. And if you've never had any of that, check them out at alsbeef.com, alsbeef.com. And you can also check them out at goldbelly.com too, and just type in Al's Beef. Since 1938, they've been doing it. They're the best in the business, the originators of the Italian beef. Check them out at Al's Beef or Goldbelly. That's right. You heard it here, right on the Sports Circus. Oh, we don't get paid for saying that. We just like it. It's one of our favorites. You try it, it'll probably be one of your favorites too. All right, welcome back to everybody on TV and radio, all of our network affiliates, all of our independents. Thanks for joining us. And also on Facebook on Chicago Food Favorites. So in the last segment, it was, are the NHL players the toughest of all athletes? We're talking about all the different athletes out there, all right, where... and we had gone through a brief list, and what I found interesting, this was according to the hockeywriters.com. They actually cited that the four-letter network, but you can call them ESPN, they did a sports skills difficulty assessment. Yeah, a sports skills difficulty assessment. Mind you, I don't know if they were using writers or if they were using actual athletes. I don't really know what that means. But now, allegedly, the sports skilled assessment, as far as from the four-letter network goes, they say this. This is what their little link says. It says, we size them up. We measure them, top to bottom. We've done our own tail of the tape. And we've come to a surprising conclusion. Pound for pound, the toughest sport in the world is boxing. Okay, we're going to get into this in a minute here. Boxing, yes, it's tough. It's very tough. And it's an individual sport, too. It's mentally tough, physically tough. Anyway, they say that's the sport that demands the most from the athletes who compete in it. It's harder than football, harder than baseball, harder than basketball. Harder than hockey? I don't know. Or soccer, harder than soccer, yes. Cycling, talk about endurance. I don't know. Skiing, boy, that's a tough one. Fishing, probably yes. Or billiards, probably yes. Billiards, yes. Or other sports. And 60 of them they rated. And of course, there is a ultimate degree of difficulty grid. Boxing actually scores higher than all of them. And according to ESPN, they say, but don't take our word for it. Take the word of our panel of experts. So now they have this panel of experts. This is kind of what I'm getting at here. I want to find out who these people are. All right, here they are. So we do have a mix of academics and athletics. Their panel of experts are Peter Davis, PhD, the director of the Coaching and Sports Science Division at the United States Olympic Committee. Yeah? How you doing with those opening ceremonies? Yeah, how have you done with that one, folks? Yeah, exactly. You get a round of boos for that. Anyway, under his leadership, practical and applied support systems, they're developed for elite athletes and coaches for biometrics, psychology, physiology, performance technologies, whatever. All right, so then he talks about what he did beforehand. He was a manager of sports science, sports medicine for the Olympic athlete program. All right, so he's done some pretty solid work. Brian Jordan, we've had Brian Jordan on this show. Now, Brian is another member of this staff, a rare two-sport star. Jordan is in his 12th season as in Major League Baseball. Yeah, his 12th season, spent 3 years in the National Football League, currently an outfielder with the Texas Rangers. Well, something tells me that this is old data because Brian hasn't played in a while, from what I recall. As a matter of fact, Brian, let's see if Brian Jordan retired. Let's see when he retired. Brian Jordan, baseball. Let's go to Baseball Reference, right? Because Baseball Reference is really what we're after. They're kind of like the Bible of baseball. So Brian Jordan, according to Baseball Reference, it is, let's see. He certainly is retired. All right, so it really states here that Brian had his last game in 2006. Yeah. So why are they citing anything? Well, this is the four-letter network for you, folks. They say he's in his 12th season. So when was this actually done? So it doesn't cite when this panel was put together. So let's just say Brian was in his 12th season when they did this. Okay, so if that's the case, we're talking, around the year, 2000 or whatever the hell it is. The point is, this is an old panel, all right? But he did play baseball and football. Chris McKendry is another person. Now, she joined the four-letter network as a Sports Center anchor in 1996. Okay. Well, let's see what she's done. She's served as a co-host. Okay, we've got that. Well, let's see if she's done anything athletically. A bachelor's degree in humanities. Oh, she made the dean's list. Oh, boy, that's really exciting. What qualifies her to be on this panel? Then you have another gentleman by the name of Jim Page. Jim Page, the managing director, Sports Performance Services at the United States Olympic Committee in Colorado Springs. Now, I wonder, when was the last time ESPN updated this committee? How up to tune are they on all these metrics they're allegedly, they're touting? Janet Starks, PhD, another person on this list. Professor and chair of the Department of Kinesiology at McMaster University. All right, we'll give her a quick round of applause. All right, that's good stuff. But again, this is old data. Bruce Watkins, PhD, another one. This guy's from the University of Michigan. It's in sports management. Sports management doesn't necessarily say you're gonna know how tough somebody is. Jim Capel is another one of this committee. He's a columnist. He's a lead columnist. He did coverage for X, Y, and Z, but what did he do on the field or on the hard court or on the ice? I don't see anything. And the last one is Michael Kinsley, a senior editor from ESPN. I don't see anything where this guy did anything physically. Oh, his 3 decades in sports media also include, who cares in sports media? What the hell has he done? Okay, so again, now you've got this so-called list of they're saying, ESPN is saying, well, these are the panel of experts. Okay, don't take our word for it. Take our panel of experts' word for it. And how many of those guys and ladies were actually athletes? I counted one of them. One. So they say, don't take our word for it. Take the panel of experts' word. That group made up of sports scientists from the United States Olympic Committee of academics who studied science and muscles. I get that. Of a 2-star sport athlete. That's one, Brian Jordan. And of journalists who spent their professional lives watching athletes succeed and fail. Why would I want to take their word for it? The only one I would want to take the word for it is Brian Jordan out of all of those people. And yes, Brian was on this show talking about that. So the others I will completely discount. But they go on to say, well, they're measuring sports toughness. Yeah, it's them. So they're the ones, according to ESPN, they're the ones who told us that boxing is the most demanding sport. Yeah, they said. And Brian didn't even play, or better yet, Brian was not a boxer. He was a baseball player and a football player. What would Brian Jordan know about boxing? So they go on to say, they're the ones who told us that boxing is the most demanding sport and that fishing is the least demanding sport. They identified 10 categories or skills that go into athleticism and then asked their 8 panelists to assign a number from 1 to 10 to the demand of each sport as it makes each of those 10 skills. By totaling the average, their responses, the ones that they arrived at a degree of difficulty, number from 1 through 100 on a scale, and that number is placed in difficulty of performing each of the sport in context with the other sports that they rated. Yes, so on the grid below is what they've got. We're going to get to that in the next segment. On the grid below, you go ahead and click on each one of these items here, each one of these stats, so to say, endurance and strength and power and speed and agility and flexibility and nerve and durability and hand-eye coordination, analytic aptitude, and they come up with a total and a rank. We're going to look at that when we come back from break. This is ridiculous. A panel of, 8 people, of which one of them is an athlete, a two-sport athlete. And they're citing this, yes, believe it or not, they're actually citing it. This is crazy. July 14th, 2024 is when this came out. Yeah, okay, back in a few on the circus.
Can your IRA stand up to the next financial crisis that our top economists are saying is at our doorsteps? By allocating a percentage of your IRA into physical gold and silver with a tax-free rollover, you can diversify and safeguard your holdings from turbulent markets and economic downturns by putting your IRA back on the gold standard. Find out how to safeguard your assets with a tax-free rollover with a Genesis Gold IRA, the only IRA that can hold physical precious metals. Call now for your free gold and silver report. Protect your IRA today with one simple phone call and learn how to qualify for up to $10,000 in free silver. Call Genesis Gold Group, empowering faith-driven stewardship. 800-932-5517. 800-932-5517. 800-932-5517. That's 800-932-5517.
If you served in the Marine Corps, by now you know about the contaminated water problem at Camp Lejeune. If you were stationed or worked at Camp Lejeune from 1953 to 1987, you probably have a lot of questions. We have some answers. You could be entitled to compensation. Billions of dollars are being allocated to pay for damages to anyone stationed at Camp Lejeune during that time. Unfortunately, it appears that officials may have known the contaminated water problem existed and did little to protect their men. The Semper Fi code was not honored. If you or someone in your family has developed a serious illness, including various forms of cancer, call this Camp Lejeune legal support line right now. You can't turn back the clock and change what happened, but you can certainly call right now and learn your rights as a Marine. Here's the number.
Call 800-335-7196. 800-335-7196. That's 800-335-7196.
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UpperCutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UpperCutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UpperCutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door, without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average and best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at UpperCutChops.com or call 702-799-9935. That's 702-799-9935. 702-799-9935. Or make your selection directly at UpperCutChops.com.
Hey everybody, this is Brian Urlacher. Welcome back to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP-TV studio, AAMP-TV. Folks, make sure to check out thesportscircus.com for all of our upcoming shows, our prior shows, which are podcasts that can be heard in their entirety on all podcast platforms. No, we don't do a podcast. We just store them there on Apple, Amazon, Audible, Google, Pandora, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, whatever. We're everywhere, folks. Can't get away from us. Also, make sure you check out our partners page. Lots of great partners at thesportscircus.com. And of course, one of those partners is the American Business Trust Company. Check them out at abtrustco.com. If you're looking to fund your company, you're looking to establish a company, you're looking to form a company, maybe expand a business idea, contact 702-799-9935, 702-799-9935 to build your company. Maybe you want to construct a new company. I don't know. The idea is put your ideas into motion, stop working for the man, and get your organization or your ideas out there into the market because you have great ideas like everybody else. All right, welcome back to everybody on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates and independents from coast to coast. Everybody watching on TV, thanks for watching us as well. Everybody on Facebook, thanks for joining us. In the last segment, we're talking about comparing athletes' toughness, and there was an index used, so to say. And this was by, first of all, the article was by thehockeywriters.com, and they had used a measure from ESPN. It says, according to an extensive study done by ESPN called Sports Skills Difficulty, ice hockey ranks second behind only boxing among the 60 sports measured. Football ranked third, basketball fourth, and so on. Okay, so I was digging into this in the last segment, and they have 10 categories of degrees of difficulties, from endurance and strength and power and speed, agility, flexibility, and nerve and durability, hand-eye coordination, analytic aptitude. They come up with a total. They put it in a blender, come up with some kind of a ranking. So the sport that they ranked the toughest was boxing. It ranks number 1 because they say it's an individual sport. Ice hockey, they have number 2. And the total is literally percentage points behind boxing. But let's think about this, folks. In hockey, what do you have? You've got 6 guys on either side on a surface of ice where they're skating, well, at least 5 of them are skating up to 20, 25 miles an hour with deadly weapons on their feet, deadly weapons in their hand. They're hitting a deadly weapon as a puck, 100 miles an hour. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, you've got the other team trying to check the player with the puck 5 rows through the glass on top of it, and they're bloodied up. And I gave I had an article, or better yet, an audio clip on James McCann getting hit in the face by a baseball. And that's a really big deal. It's a big deal, and getting hit with a baseball is not a pleasant thing, I can assure you of that. So he got hit with a 94-mile-an-hour ball, and it grazed his face guard, and it hit his face guard and his nose, the side of his nose at the same time. And, I mean, that's very painful. He's bloodied up and everything. But you know what? He came back out there. He was a warrior. But you know what? Hockey players do it all the time. All the time. And my best example, I remember in the playoffs, in the Stanley Cup playoffs, I believe this was about 2013, if I'm not mistaken. It was Chicago, the Blackhawks against the hated Detroit Red Wings. And if I'm not mistaken, it was that series that Duncan Keith took a puck to the mouth. Defenseman Duncan Keith, number 2, took the puck to the mouth, lost 7 teeth. 7 chiclets were all over the ice. Picked him up, scooped him up. They brought him back to the locker room. They stitched him up and sent him right back out on the ice. That is a warrior. After losing 7 teeth and getting hit in the mouth with the puck. Listen, folks, if you're going to tell me that there is a tougher sport to play, you better come back with something better than this alleged index, first of all, by 8 people on a panel, only one of which who've played professional sports. The other 7 are academics. That's it. They've never played sports. How the hell would they know? Well, we're measuring this and that. If you've never played sports, how the hell would you know how difficult it is physically, how demanding it is physically, the psychological warfare that's inflicted upon you? How would you know if you've never done that? So this alleged panel from ESPN, and they call themselves a panel of experts. Yeah, they're an alleged panel of experts, of which one of them is a former athlete. That's it. They're the ones that put this together. So they said, okay, I'll give boxing a good run for its money with number one with ice hockey. I think ice hockey, because of all the other elements in ice hockey, it would probably just nudge out boxing. But boxing is a one-on-one sport. I mean, it's really demanding. So maybe you put those into a tie. I'm okay with that. Football they have next at number 3. And football is decidedly behind hockey in its total points. And football ranks below hockey in a lot of these categories. One of them is speed, definitely in agility, flexibility, nerve, and so forth and so on. Especially hand-eye coordination. It ranks 25% behind. And also even in analytical aptitude. Basketball somehow is ranked 4th on this list, and I don't know why. How in the world is basketball ranked above wrestling, above martial arts, when all they do is slap box? Okay, so it's an athletic sport just like everything else. Well, not everything. But what do? Okay, they're bouncing a ball, they're running around, they're setting picks. Yeah, some of the picks are hard, I get it. Sometimes they go to the floor. But not like in martial arts, and certainly not like in wrestling. How the hell is basketball ahead of those? I'll never know. Now, tennis is very physically demanding. Then tennis ranks, let's see, they have it on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th. Gymnastics somehow is below tennis. How does that work? Can you imagine a female on the uneven bars? A young lady, let's just say maybe a 10-year-old, on the uneven bars. I remember watching my sister, and she's 10 years old, in the gymnastics classes and doing competition and so forth. And she is on the uneven bars. And it's physically demanding. It's extremely demanding. Not to say tennis isn't. Tennis is very demanding. But how are gymnastics less difficult than tennis? I don't even know that. They have baseball behind gymnastics. You know what? The hardest thing to do in sports is to hit a baseball. Think about this, folks. If you want to be a Hall of Famer in baseball, if you want your name enshrined in Cooperstown, think about the idea that the best hitters in the world fail 7 out of 10 times, and they're Hall of Famers. That's how difficult baseball is. You talk about degree of difficulty? Nothing's harder than hitting a baseball. Nothing. In any kind of sports. What is harder than hitting a baseball? Good luck. That ball's coming in at 90, 100 miles an hour, dancing all over the place. And believe me, if you think it's easy to hit a baseball, you better guess again. Because the best players in the world average about 1 out of every 4 where they actually get a hit. 1 out of every 4. They're failing 75% of the time. Soccer comes in behind baseball. Skiing, that would be alpine skiing, somehow is more difficult than tennis. Tennis ranks 7th, remember that. Alpine skiing is remarkably demanding and very death-defying. Water polo ranks behind soccer. I'm not so sure about that because there's a breathing, there's a buoyancy thing, there's a lot going on there. Rugby somehow ranks behind tennis. Imagine that. Lacrosse? Okay, I'm okay where you're at. Rodeo, how about this one? Steer wrestling. How does steer wrestling, you're wrestling a bull, how is that not more difficult than lacrosse? Or rugby, which you're wrestling players, or water polo, or skiing, or soccer, or tennis, or martial arts. Mind you, martial arts, at least you're playing against a human. Same thing in wrestling. But in rodeo, You're steer wrestling, and you don't even know how to communicate for the most part with that gigantic bull. How the hell is that below all of those sports? How is steer wrestling ranked below boxing? Think about that, folks. You've got a wild animal, and somehow you've got to wrestle that wild animal down, and then you got to hog tie him. How the hell does that work? I don't know how it's ranked number 15. That makes no sense. Track and field, pole vaulting, ranked 16. Field hockey, yes, 17. Speed skating, 17, tie. Figure skating, 19. Now, figure skating is that's a very demanding one. Cycling for distance, 20th. I'm okay with that. Volleyball, 20. I'm okay with that. Racquetball, 22. It's pretty demanding. Surfing, 23. How is surfing ranked behind lacrosse? I don't know. How is it ranked behind water polo? I have no idea. Apparently, this alleged panel of experts from ESPN, they've all done these sports. No, remember, only 1 out of 8 was an athlete. So this whole study, this whole alleged sports skill difficulty panel, remember, was put together by 7 non-athletes. Let's go down this just because we're coming up on the end and we have to do this. How about this? Team handball. That's a fun sport. Ranked 26th. Freestyle skiing, ranked 25. Fencing, 24. Bobsledding, 28. That's behind cycling sprints, mind you. Ski jumping, death-defying, ranked 29. Badminton. Now, okay, here we go. I'm going to finish up with this one. I just want to know, in their infinite wisdom, out of 30 sports, how in the beep is badminton ranked 30th? How is badminton ranked as more difficult as Nordic skiing, auto racing? How do you like that one? The high jump in track and field, the long jump in track and field. Yes, we're talking badminton here, folks. Diving. Badminton apparently is more difficult than swimming. All strokes for distance. For skateboarding, sprints in track and field, rowing, calf roping. Yes, remember we talked about bull roping, bull wrestling? Calf roping. It's more difficult than that. And also, rodeo, bull riding, bareback bronco riding. How is badminton ranked above that? How is badminton ranked above weightlifting? Water skiing. This is crazy. None of it makes sense. Even horse racing. Now, I could say maybe above equestrian. No, wrong. Probably above curling, though. Anyway, folks, that's going to do it for the circus today. These people at the 4-Letter Network, I got to tell you, in my opinion, they're out of their mind. That's going to do it for today's show. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, and we'll see you in about 23 hours on your favorite station right here. Until then, so long, everyone.
Can your IRA stand up to the next financial crisis that our top economists are saying is at our doorsteps? By allocating a percentage of your IRA into physical gold and silver with a tax-free rollover, you can diversify and safeguard your holdings from turbulent markets and economic downturns by putting your IRA back on the gold standard. Find out how to safeguard your assets with a tax-free rollover with a Genesis Gold IRA, the only IRA that can hold physical precious metals. Call now for your free gold and silver report. Protect your IRA today with one simple phone call and learn how to qualify for up to $10,000 in free silver. Call Genesis Gold Group, empowering faith-driven stewardship. 800-932-5517. 800-932-5517. 800-932-5517. That's 800-932-5517.